This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by Remax Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. Remax Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call Remax Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam, Graydon, and the team at Stickers and Scuffs podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
What's going on, friends? It's Graydon Bunn here alongside Cam K as always. This week, we are very privileged to have a racer whose career has now spanned over 4 decades. He is a true ambassador for the Ontario Sportsman Series, for his beloved Full Throttle Motor Speedway at Varney, and of course his Black Magic Racing team. Tim Tolton's here with us. Welcome, Tim.
Hi, guys. Thank you for letting me join you tonight.
Oh, no problem at all. Right off the bat, 40 years in racing, does it go as fast as each race that you're in, or does it feel like a long time but a short time at the same time? How does it feel?
Yeah, it obviously it's been a long time, but it doesn't seem near as long as it has. Time flies by. I think about it, and I think there's no way I've been doing this for 40 years, but I guess that's where we're at.
And you weren't alone this year. You got to celebrate with another longtime racer in Mark Patrick and a longtime competitor in Roger McGlynn. You all three were celebrating this year, but for yourself, I think it's a little bit different because while they've been involved in racing, you've also been involved at a racetrack the last couple of years. Let's learn a little bit more about that racetrack, Full Throttle at Varney Speedway. How'd you get involved there, Tim?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that that's not where I started racing. That's where I spent most of my time, obviously. But that's not where I began. But I got started out many years ago in endurance racing, and I heard about this Varney Speedway track, and they were having endurance races, so I ventured up there, and I really liked it, and I decided to make it my home track. I've seen many promoters over the years, and I've helped out with some of them wherever I could, and I think how I started working at the track was through a joke. Somebody a former promoter was just joking about it, and it turned into something that actually happened.
And it became kind of a part of your way of life. We're going to go right into a fan question from this hot young shoe. You may have heard of him, named Mike Campbell of Guelph. He asks about your unique setting for your outdoor wedding.
Oh, yeah. Start finish line. Weather wasn't premium that day. But we had the stands were packed. We put a lot of planning into the event, and we had an ordained minister that was going to perform it. And one of the conditions was that it couldn't be used as any gimmick or promotional thing.
Right.
But the promoter at that time, Tom Donnelly, got his weekends mixed up and handed out a ton of 2-for-1 passes that week. So we had all our guests that we invited, plus people from the whole area that happened to run across Tom Donnelly.
That's a heck of a party.
And then after the wedding, my car, of course, was in the background. My car and Donna's car were both in the background. And of course, mine wouldn't start. So the announcer got to make some jokes about that, how she was pushing me around already.
Nice.
We were doing a victory lap after the ceremony, and the only way I could get going was with her pushing me.
Yeah, oh my God, that's like the perfect wedding story. There you go, Pops.
It's funny that you see it occasionally at the fans NASCAR broadcasts, fans getting proposed to or married or whatever, but you kind of would be one of the originals. I haven't seen that happen here for sure. And there's some photos out there of a young couple getting married at the start finish line, the Toltons, and I hope I'm doing you proud with this whatever mustache I could try to grow, because it's been one of your trademarks as well, but also some very specific numbers, and I'm very curious about the 35. And then obviously your OSS number is, I mean, we don't really need to question who it's from, but why and what it was about Dale Earnhardt that just spoke to you.
Well, I just liked everything about Dale Earnhardt, the way he raced. I know he got many critics. He's got many haters. We all do. But
Yep.
I felt I learned so much just watching him. He taught me without. I never got the pleasure of meeting him. I have helped out Norm Benning a lot with his NASCAR truck, and he did race against Dale Earnhardt, became friends with Dale Earnhardt. That's awesome that he got to do that. I never got the opportunity. I sure planned on it. Just my opportunity ended.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the numbers. The number 35 I've used for many, many years. Like I said earlier, I started out in endurance racing at Flamborough Speedway. That was my first race ever at Flamborough Speedway, an endurance race. My first race car was a 1973 Cadillac Coupe de Ville with 470 cubic inches of I'm not going anywhere. The car was heavy, it was tough, but it was just gutless. It had no power at all. It was for luxury. Anyway, we heard about Varney Speedway, and they were having an endurance race. So me and my car owner, Big Bad Bob, we ventured up to Varney Speedway. And I had been various numbers of 69, 16, 96. Back in those days, there were so many endurance cars that you couldn't be sure of getting a number at any time. If you didn't register early enough, you were going to take whatever was left available. So we got to the gate, and they said, "What number do you want?" And I think I said 21. That was my sister's favorite number, and it just came to mind first. And I went through a bunch of numbers. Take it. So I turned to Big Bad Bob and I said, "Bob, pick a number." He said 35. That's the year I was born. So that became my number for many years until the number 3. And that will lead us to an even better story. My good friend Scott Marvin, who has raced for me, and I used to be his crew chief in the OSS back in the early days of the series. We always talked about wish they would have a race at Varney Speedway. We always wished they would have a race there. So I ran a couple times for him as fill-in, once at Peterborough, almost won in my first event I was in, actually, until something went bad. And he had his car sitting in the garage, and it wasn't in good shape. It had been out of the series for a couple years. And I called him one day and I said, Scott, can I borrow your car? He says, what are you talking about? Your car is way better than mine. Why would you want my car? He said, well, we always said that we wish they'd have a race at Varney Speedway. There's going to be one. He said, oh, okay, yeah. So we made the deal, and I went and picked his car up and brought it to my shop to do the necessary repairs to make it raceable again. And he said, there's one thing I want. I want you to run number 3. And I mean, everybody knows Dale Earnhardt was my hero, and I don't like the idea of that. I don't want to be a Dale impersonator. I don't want any of that. And so I came up with a perfect plan. I can get out of this. No problem. So, okay, Scott, you get permission from Richard Childress Racing, and I will run number 3 for you. I said, okay. So a few weeks later, he says, well, I didn't get a call, so I guess you're off the hook. You don't have to run that number 3. I said, okay, yeah, sounds good. I'll just run my number 35.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, Scott says, guess who called me? I said, who? Somebody from Richard Childress Racing. He said he'd be happy to let us run the number as long as we email him a picture of the car. So my perfect plan wasn't so perfect after all. And I just stuck with the number 3 since for Scott.
Well, there you go.
Got permission from the team owner before his grandsons did. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. It wasn't directly from Richard. It was from Austin Dillon's dad, who worked for him.
Oh, there you go. Still got it before them.
That's pretty sweet.
Got that.
Yeah.
Let's switch. The Studebaker. It's been in the social media spotlight lately, getting a little freshened up. That's a beauty looking car. Talk about. I know you love those curves on that body, Tim. Talk about that car a bit.
I do. I don't know. Some people don't like it. I think it's awesome. I love the car.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a little runt. If the body was any shorter, it wouldn't have fit on the chassis. Like, there's no bumper extensions on the front and the rear. That is the size of the chassis itself. Mm-hmm. But I love the shape of it. I love that it's unique. I don't want to have a Chevelle or a Camaro or anything like that, like everybody else. Or even a 57 Chevy. As much as I love them, I want something that's different.
Yeah.
So Dave Gainforce posted an ad on the Oscar Facebook page, and I got a hold of the guy. And actually, that car had a unique story too. And the reason why the top half of it is still the 1959 Studebaker Tahiti Coral, is because the previous owner, he talked for probably 2 hours when I was picking the car up, and he gave me the story how he bought this car in high school, drove her for a couple of years. It needed a paint job, so he sent it to the body shop, and his high school buddies would drive him all over the place because he didn't have a car. And then he picked it up, and they all made fun of him because he paid somebody to paint it that same ridiculous color. The bottom half was really rough, so I had to repaint it. So I put that black and left his color on the top of it. That's Paul's pride.
It's a cool throwback. Like, it still kind of pays homage to its roots, where it came from and everything too.
He came a couple times to watch it race. He came once this year and once
Cool.
last year. Just loves that it's out there. He doesn't know that it's not Studebaker powered or anything. He just knows his old high school cars out there racing. He thinks that's
Yeah,
cool.
that's got to be pretty neat for him to
That's
see that
really
thing have
cool.
another life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I really love about the hot rods is that they do give second, third, fourth, fifth lives to these cars that otherwise they'd just be sitting there. They'd be sitting there rotting, right? And no one wants that. We need to keep. I mean, I have this conversation every time on the podcast. I always say this, and I look it right in the camera, and I'll say it.
Yeah.
These cars have so much more character, so much more look, so much more sex appeal than any car nowadays. I just saw the new Toyota that they're planning on racing in the Cup Series. Oh boy.
Oh God.
Yeah. Let's not go that route. Let's go back to fins and wings and all sorts of stuff. But let's talk a little bit about those divisions out at Full Throttle, because you guys do have a little tiny hot rod division, but some really good cars in there. And the biggest thing that I need to talk about before we get into the divisions itself is the track itself. This is what I think people fail to realize. This thing is no joke. It is not an easy track to get around. It is not, it's not, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, no corners exactly the same. I think they're all kind of different. And apparently that wall out of turn 4 can come and get you really, really, really
It'll
quick.
step right out in front of you.
So, Tim, let's talk about the track itself and kind of what it is, what makes it so unique.
Well, you got some of the points very right there. I don't want to talk too much about it to give away some of my secrets, maybe.
Yeah.
But turn 1 and 2 is very different from turn 3 and 4. Turn 4 is tight, but it's not as tight as people think it is. What makes that corner tight is everybody's afraid of it. I'm not. I have no fear of that corner. I've been into that wall plenty of times, and I'm here talking about it now. There's nothing to be afraid of. To be honest with you, there's nothing to be afraid of. And if you are afraid of it, you will not make a good exit off turn 4. It's not going to happen. I watched a few years ago. They were doing live streaming at the track, and I watched the live stream later, the recorded live stream, and I watched everybody coming off that corner, and all I could think of was, what are they doing? Why? I come out, not that. I mean, you know the wall's there. You know you can't go that far, but if you tug it away from the wall, you're going to come off the corner very poorly. But let the car do what it needs to do. Don't fight the car.
Now I've heard,
Tim, it's true everywhere. Don't fight the car.
Now I've heard, Tim, that the banking rivals Bristol. Is there any truth to this?
For years, it was advertised as, I think, a little more than it actually is, or maybe it's sunk. I'm not sure. I do know for a fact turn 4 has sunk. So it when you come off of 4, it does drop down. But it's nothing drastic. And there's been talk of fixing that or changing that. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. It wouldn't be. The track would lose its character.
Yes.
I mean, widening turn 4, yeah, that can be done too. But again, it loses the character. It makes it more of a horsepower track than a driver's track. I think it needs to remain a driver's track.
Yeah,
knows what that corner's about. He's been on it. Did it hurt you, Graydon?
No.
Turn 4 hurt you? It didn't hurt me.
No, you're absolutely right in that. Like, the track, your car will sense if you're sort of afraid of it. I mean, or like, you know what I mean? Like if you approach it that way and tiptoe through it, you're going to get eaten alive. That's basically what it boils down to. You might get forced up into the wall because you're pussyfooting around it or whatever you want to say. But to bring it around to outside of the track, I happen to know from being there too that the Varney faithful crowd is a very supportive fan base, and I know Paul and all the staff and everybody that's working there are really motivated to bring fans in, and there's been lots of stuff going on already this off season. So, kind of talk about the Full Throttle fan base.
Yeah, they're very loyal fans. Varney Speedway, Full Throttle Speedway, whatever name you want to go by. There's been a few different ones over the years. Every new ownership wants to change the name slightly. They're very dedicated, and like everywhere, the fan base is getting older, and we have to always be working on replenishing the fan base and bringing new people in. The track typically hasn't had trouble attracting fans. Cars, at times car counts aren't great. Other times it's pretty good, but compared to some other tracks, I think if there's a downfall to the place, it's probably in the count of cars. Although this year or next year is looking awesome, having 94 cars registered at the drivers' meeting, pre-registered.
That's awesome.
And more to come. That's definitely not everybody. So that's pretty exciting. I don't know if any other tracks are reaching those numbers yet. Hopefully all tracks do. I mean, if we could get more people interested in stock car racing, back to the days when there was less options for entertainment. That's a big problem. Is there's too many things to do, and most of them you can do without leaving your house. Right? People aren't looking at going out somewhere. They just want to do what they can at home, or not travel, not spend money, not. But anybody who's been to the races, we look back at prior to our wedding. My family was pretty well on board with coming to see us get married at a racetrack. Donna's family, some of them were very resistant. Some of them said there's no chance we're going to a racetrack to see a wedding. And they went. And you know what? I can't think of any of them didn't come back.
No doubt. Would have been the best friggin' time ever.
They didn't know what they were missing. And, all over Ontario, all over North America, we need to get people to try it and find out that, it's a good hobby. It's a good, it's a good pastime, watching the races, getting involved in it,
Exactly.
Keep that going.
Exactly. And the, get the street racers off the legal tracks or the illegal tracks and get them onto the legal tracks. There you go. Way to sell it. I mean, there's a lot of, I think, there's a lot of options for people. And I think that's what's really good is that they have different classes. You can, and what you guys have, I thought, done very well at Full Throttle is been inventive in your classes, that you have maybe not the typical names first off, but you've been very successful in your pure stock divisions or fun stock divisions and junior lates, which again is crucial to bringing new fans into motorsports. And I think that's every track needs to have a junior late division no matter what. I mean, I think that's what's actually missing in some tracks is that you got to do stuff and have the kids involved. You guys have a kids club, gets the kids involved, gets them occupied during races because, and they get giveaways that are focused on the kids as well. I mean, Graydon got to give away a bike last year at Full Throttle, which I mean,
so cool.
That's something that we want to see at every race, if you can, every track, get people to donate, get people to do whatever, because as you said, I remember my first time I went to a racetrack. Never forget it. Graydon remembers when the first time he went to a racetrack. You don't forget it. that's where memories are created. And one of the other places that memories are created for me more recently has been the Ontario Sportsman Series. Segway Master. Ontario Sportsman Series has been your home, as Graydon does do the hat dance for it.
Shout out to Pops for the hat dance thing.
Also repping the Black Magic red on that hat right there. But so it's been your home. You got an opportunity to be in there. You have done so much for the series that I think it goes unnoticed. And the reason I think that is because you aren't behind the wheel every week. And that's been a more recent change since you became more involved at Full Throttle. But you put some other guys in the car the last couple of years and have made sure that we had fuller fields by having that car at the racetrack. You put Billy Zardo behind the wheel of the 3-car last year. And I have to ask about that because I think that's so cool. You got a local driver from Sunset to be in the car in front of his home crowd. And I think that's the coolest thing. Why do you feel that, and why do you go about doing things that way and having the car be there even when you can't be?
Well, I don't know. That's just the way I am. I want my car to be there as much as it's a struggle to make it happen, and as hard as it is financially to make it happen. I want it to be there. I want the car count to be the best it can be. I'm up to 6 cars that I own now. I race 5 times a year. But I'm very selective of my drivers, and Billy is definitely one of my top picks. His brother Lane is another one. When Billy couldn't make it last year, he recommended Lane, and Lane is the one that I went with. But I don't put just anybody in the car, that's for sure. I had many people ask, well, why don't you let me drive your car? Well, maybe not. I don't know. But Billy and Lane are very different. Lane is get it there and get it now kind of driver. He'll take chances. He's aggressive, and I like that. Some people consider me aggressive. I don't. Some people consider me aggressive. I think I'm slow and take my time getting there, and that's the way I see Billy as a driver. He's more conservative, and he won't take any unnecessary chances. Now, I'm not saying that Lane takes unnecessary chances, but Lane will just go. Lane will do it, and he'll make it happen, and he'll make it happen well. Billy will, think about it, and plan his moves. I think that I see that as the difference between the two of them. But both of them, I would put in my car at any time. They're in a small group of drivers who have been in my car. Ken Schrader, Rick Bastine, he filled in for me at Sauble. I've watched him at Full Throttle. I respect his driving and his respect for the equipment. My son Bobby, we're very much the same, as much as he wouldn't want to admit it. That's just a son thing. But we are very similar. When he's on the radio with me, it's like I have nothing to worry about. He knows what I'm going to do. He knows what to tell me. He knows exactly what I need. And I can't think of anybody better to have in my ear. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Then there's Scott Marvin. He spotted for me for my win this year. And just hearing the excitement coming from him, he's my cheerleader. I yelled at him during the race when he didn't do things that I wanted to, and he kept at it, and he kept cheering me on and telling me I could do it. And together we did do it. Other drivers that have been in it, Lane, I mentioned, Nick Clark was another one who filled in for me. I chose him because I've seen him do well at Flamborough. That shouldn't be his best track, but I've seen him do well there. So when I needed somebody for Flamborough, I couldn't make it. I went with Nick. Can't think of who else I had driving.
Well, it didn't. I mean, those are the races that you couldn't make, but the ones that you did make, Tim, is there anybody in the OSS that was really close to you at Full Throttle these last couple of years? Because it's not been an easy task to outrace Tim Tolton at Full Throttle. I believe it's at least 3 straight podiums with 2 wins. Those 2 wins were pretty, let's just say, ass kicking would be the best word.
Took him to the woodshed.
They were somewhat.
And then there was also a near win at Peterborough this year. So you've had 40 years, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're still winning. What's the secret? Because I'm sure a lot of racers would love to know how you're getting wins. I mean, listen, we're going for 3 in a row now. You're going to go 2022, 2023. Now we're going for 2024 with wins in the OSS series. What's the secret?
There is no secret. There's really no secret. There's a desire. I mean, I've undoubtedly made racing my life. That's, you know, I go to work to make money so I can go racing. That's my life. I love working on the race cars. I love working at the racetrack. I love being around racing in any form. But there's really no secret. If there's any secret, it's just the number of laps that I've done around that track. And this may come as a surprise to people, but if you ask me what track is my favorite, I don't think you'll I don't think you can guess which one it is.
Is it Peterborough?
Ooh.
It is Peterborough.
Peterborough
was closer. That's where I would be.
So what is it about Peterborough?
It's a bigger version of Varney.
Yeah,
fair.
It
yeah,
is.
It really is.
Turn 1 and 2 is very different from turn 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've had people tell me I'm crazy for saying that, but I see a huge similarity.
And turn 4 wall gets you. So yeah, very similar. And you get to, I mean, we see you routinely get to go and race for the autumn colors. Always out there. You were there for Dave Dipple this past year. I'm not sure mechanical, I think issues that took you out, unfortunately, but autumn colors is also another one that you get to go there and just, man, it's got to be just fun just to go and just experience that. Because I mean, you've had a couple of people that have been in your cars. Nathan Detweiler raced for you guys. A certain someone by the name of Graydon Bunn drove for you guys this year, and that's got to be cool to see people get to live out their dreams in your vehicles.
Yeah, one thing that I do like to give, not in my sportsman car, but I like to give opportunities. I've had a couple people that just wanted to try driving a race car, and I put them out in my race car at Full Throttle just for test sessions. And one of them is a follower of the OSS series. I met him at the car show. He's a friend of Mauricio's, and he was talking about how he'd really like to try driving a race car. And I said, "You're talking to the right guy." He said, I said, "I can make that happen for you." And he came to Full Throttle one day and put him in the car. Now he was telling me just recently that next year he's going to be in a race car. He's ready to give this a shot.
Awesome.
You know, if I can somehow in a small way help somebody get the interest in it, that's what I want to do. And I've got a few. I refer to them as junk stocks. I don't want everybody yelling at me for referring to that, but they're low budget cars, and just give somebody a chance to get the feel for it. And Graydon is one. I know he already had arrangements to drive a car, and my wife works every other weekend, so there was times that she wasn't going to be able to make it, and we needed substitute drivers, and we had a few different ones. And Graydon got to be one of them, and he's not done yet.
No way.
Sure. Graydon's not retiring yet.
I think we made it worse. Worse, Tim.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair assessment. And that's, as you said, like you've spent a lifetime making an impressive racing resume. Just by your 40th anniversary commemorative hero card, such a cool piece. But I mean, 14 classes, 7 championships, 14 runner-up points finishes, and you're closing in and around 140 feature wins. I mean, and you're probably, maybe even your greatest legacy is your kindness to guys like me and the likes of my de facto teammates and the Zardo brothers and that type of thing. I know I speak for Billy too when we say that that's something that trusting someone with whether it's a fun stock or your flagship ride in the OSS car. I mean, that's just not something that everybody does, and gives someone a chance to do that. And that's arguably one of Tim Tolton's greatest racing legacies. So I thank you when I got out of the car, and I will every time. But I mean, that's saying that here and now. I mean, it's making people's dreams come true, literally.
Well, that's what makes it pay off is the appreciation. I know everybody who's had an opportunity to try it has appreciated it greatly. Nathan Detweiler, my current hot rod driver, he was shocked when I offered him the opportunity to do a test session, and he went out there and he did quite well. He'd never raced anything rear wheel drive. He'd never raced anything at that level. He loved it. He came off the track, said, "This is the greatest day of my life."
Yeah.
And then my OSS car was sitting a couple pads down. I said, "You want to try that one now?" Because I was quite impressed with how he handled it. And he said, "Are you joking?" I said, "No. You want to try it?" So he did. And he came off the track and he said, "No, I was wrong. Now it's the greatest day of my life." And I said, "What did you think of that?" He said, "Well, the Studebaker, I really like that. This car, it tried to kill me." The Sportsman car is not an easy car to drive. I mean, anybody who hasn't driven one won't understand what the drivers have to go through. They're narrow, they're tall, they're heavy. The track width is skinny. There's everything that you want in a race car, they don't have.
Yeah,
perfect.
Right.
If you don't have driving skill, you're not going to succeed in those cars.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Canadian NASCAR cars, they're the same. Basically, a little more horsepower, but the cars are the same. A little more tire, but I got respect for those drivers because I know what they're dealing with. They don't drive themselves. The hot rod is easy. It's got lots of rubber, little horsepower and, nice and wide. They got a lot going for them. My hot rod is actually my old OSS car. A lot of people don't realize that. It's it's not the best choice for a chassis, but it's what I had, and I think the car is cool. Is it a winning car? No, but it's out there and somebody's having fun in it, and that's what counts.
And having seen Nathan drive it, he had just full of gratitude. He's such a good guy too. Very humble, and as you said, he can wheel a car for sure.
Oh yeah.
He's got one of the best hair in the business.
He's got my face. Yeah.
And the hair.
Absolutely. Tim, we can go on for hours and hours and hours, and this is obviously just episode 1 of what will likely be multiple episodes with you on the show. But we want to give you an opportunity to thank people, because you obviously got people on the race team, you got people at Full Throttle, but you also have some awesome partners on the number 3, on the number 70. So definitely get out there and here is the moment to say your thank yous.
Yeah, I have so many people I have to thank, so many friends that I wouldn't be able to do it without them. There was a race at Full Throttle, the first race this year, that the frame literally broke. And I was considering myself done. I had to go to work. I had work to do for the track. And I left, and a bunch of friends put that car back together, patched it up, welded it. And I was shocked how, to have friends like that. And Dave Dipple was one of them. Dipple's Family Garage. He's helped me so much this year. He motivates me. He gives me a place to work on my car. Full Throttle Speedway. He lets me use his shop. So many resources coming from the racetrack itself. That's where the car lives. My own shop is the concrete pad at the racetrack. I got to rely on the weather to know whether I can go and work on my car or not. Engines from Hal's been with me for many years, almost as long as he's been in business. If I have an engine problem, I can call him, and if it's 2:00 in the morning, he'll come to my aid. Long-time supporter of our racing. Turn 1 Sim Lounge. They're new this year. We haven't had a lot of involvement with them yet, but look for them more in the future. They love our program. We love their program. They're a new business. They're starting out. We want them to succeed, and I'm sure as they see success, they're gonna support us further. Who else have we got now? There's so many people to thank. I could never thank each one individually.
We'd probably be here a while, eh?
I would a long time. My wife, of course, my kids have helped me greatly. I can't even explain how much.
Well, we know, Tim, that you have a ton of supporters. This was one of the episodes that we were waiting for. We knew this was going to be a big one that was highly requested. And we're excited and privileged that you've been part of the S&S racing family for multiple years. You rep us week in and week out. We saw it at the registration meeting at Full Throttle, and that was an honor. And the fact that you took my dear old co-host and gave him an opportunity and to race in a Stickers and Scuffs car, which still blows our minds.
Yeah,
that happened, and it doesn't happen that often that we both get teary at the exact same time, but tears were shed that day for sure, because it was such a big surprise and such an honor. But Tim, we want to say thank you for coming on the show, and we're going to do this again.
Oh, we have to. I've got more to say. I'm not a talker. I'm a shy person. Some people don't realize that, but I've never been much of a talker. And I'll tell you that you got to support those who support you. I appreciate what you guys do for racing and for us, and the whole deal. You got to support those who support you, and I appreciate what you guys do.
Yeah, you are a man of few words when you're just kind of a guy that watches, observes, does your thing. But I mean, I know you like spanning a career that spans as not trying to say you're an old guy, but I mean like your career has spanned this long. But you've touched so many lives in the 40-year career of just racing alone. And as we said, yeah, we'll definitely do this again because we haven't scratched the surface on stuff that we can talk about. So we can't thank you enough for your time, Tim.
Thanks, guys. I'm really looking forward to the next opportunity.
So we have to thank the inTIMidator, Tim Tolton, for joining us on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We'll catch you all next week.